Hey friends, so welcome back to my channel. This is Aaronica from Aaronica Be Cool, and today we are going to make a dress that is super fast. We're going to be making this dress in about 30 minutes, and it is a tank style dress, and today we're breaking all of the fashion rules. What do you mean, Aaronica? We're making a horizontal striped dress that is for a plus size body. So let's go ahead and get started. So what are we making, right? Let's do a little step back so that you can kind of get a little look-see at some of these things. So this here dress is the Goldie dress, and it's from Made for Mermaids, and it features a couple of different length options. So we've got the length options as a crop top, a tank top that hits like right kind of like at the top of your jeans, so like a longer top. Then we've got the mini, which is what I'm making today. We have a full dress, which hits right above your knee. We also have a midi as well as a maxi option. All of these options, except of course for the tops, also come with the option to go ahead and add a little slit situation. I love that for us, right? And they all feature binding. Now the binding, you can choose to do a wide binding, which is what I've done here, or you can do a narrow binding. It's like a choose your own adventure, customize it however you see fit. Now today I used a cotton Lycra fabric for both my fabric option for the main fabric as well as for my binding option. For the inside, because this pattern does also feature a shelf bra, I did go ahead and I used a power mesh to go ahead and give my girls a little extra support. I put it on, and when I tell you that I was like, never again am I lining something or doing a shelf bra with anything other than this here power mesh. I mean it. It feels light. I don't feel like I'm going to be super sweaty, and it feels really perfect. In this here tutorial, or in this sew along, I'm going to take you through the steps of what it looks like to go ahead and make this dress super fast. I will be having separate like call out videos for two different techniques which we've used on this dress. The first one being how to make your own binding, taking you through how to prep that, as well as how to do a lettuce hem. Now this here pattern does call for a regular hem, but I feel like I can do whatever I want. And so I added a lettuce hem because lettuce hem right now is all the rage. So I figure, why not go ahead and let your girl get with it, okay? So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our sew along. So I'm already set up with my projector to cut out this pattern. The pattern that I'm using is the Made for Mermaids Goldie pattern. And for me, I had to grade between sizes. So I started out with a size yellow and I graded it out to be the red in the hip area. The reason why I do this is because my bust is significantly smaller than my hips. And I'm like a classic pear shape. So doing this helps me to get the proper fit. And for those who are asking, I use an Epson Breitling, and it is a fantastic projector that I got secondhand. If you are interested in learning how to sew with a projector, please definitely click the link that is in the caption that does include how to sign up for one of my classes. Okay, so for this project, the only thing outside of course, our fabric that we need is going to be elastic. I'm using 1.5 inch elastic here, and I chose this elastic because this feels the most comfortable against my skin. So let's review the rest of our pieces that we have. First up, we've got the low back scoop neckband. So this is it, pretty wide. Then we also have two binding pieces for the armholes, or armsies. Then of course we are doing the built-in bra, or the shelf bra option. And so I've got my back piece here. And then I also have my front piece. And I chose to cut this out of some power mesh. Why? Because I do want to make sure that it is as supportive as possible while not being too hot. It is 1,000 degrees here in Atlanta, and your girl just wants to be comfortable. So I felt like doing the stretch power mesh was going to be a good idea. Then the rest of our pattern pieces, we've got the back piece, which is right here. And this again is the low scoop back. So that is the back piece. And then we've got the front piece, which of course is just going to be your basic scoop neck front piece. So just let's review some high level steps for what we're going to do as far as how we do this as quickly as possible, because this is a dress that we can make in 30 minutes or less. So what we're going to be doing is putting together our front and back pieces, right sides together. We're going to go ahead and sew up those side seams as well as the shoulder seams here. We're also going to do the exact same thing for our shelf bra before we go ahead and add the elastic to the bottom of the shelf bra. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put the shelf bra inside of the main fabric. And at this point in time, you can either go ahead and do a basting stitch to attach the two if you want to. If you are like, girl, I don't need a basting stitch, then we're going to go ahead and move in to our, I like to start off with our neckband. So I'm going to do our neckband first before we move on to our armseas, also known as the tank area. So make sure that your fabric has 4-way stretch, and let's go ahead and get this done. For the entirety of this project, I'm going to be using my Bernina L890, because this is a machine that can go from serger to cover stitch. We'll be cover stitching or using the cover stitch functionality to go ahead and finish up our binding pieces. So we will be using this beauty. Her name is Bernadette, and let's officially get started now. Now I have my machine set up so that it's just your basic settings. So we're doing a 4-thread interlock with integrated seam. And this, if you are not using a Bernina, is just, again, the basic seam. So we're going to start out with our shoulder seams, and we'll see if we can do this in one take. We won't be stopping too much. This is like one of my favorite patterns that is out right now for tanks. Why? Because it's so simple, but it is such a beautiful fit that it just makes it so easy to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our party started. Oh, where's my foot pedal? There we go. Okay. I feel like I'm breaking all of the fashion rules. I'm plus size. I am making a horizontal striped dress, and I'm having the nerve to make it in a mini version or a mini length. The beautiful thing about this pattern is that it comes in a bunch of different lengths. You can make it as a crop top, a regular top, a mini length, meaning that it is above that knee, dress length, meaning that it's at that knee. You can also make this as a midi dress, as well as a maxi dress. So many options, making it, of course, perfect for whatever occasion that you need to wear it to. I've had this fabric for forever, and this is just a basic cotton Lycra. I actually got rid of like most of my fabric, my striped fabric, because I always feel like I have to match my stripes. And sometimes I just don't feel like it, to be completely honest. These stripes are wide enough though, so that it's not hard to match up these stripes. It was kind of cool to see the edge of this fabric, because you could see kind of how it was woven together with the different colors and the stripes and stuff like that. One of my other really favorite things about this pattern is that it does not require that much fabric. Like I think this is a 1.5 yards cut of this fabric, and babe, we're making a mini dress. Okay, I'm so excited about this because I feel like when you are plus size, of course we have to use so much more fabric to make you know, the garments that everybody else is wearing. So a lot of times that can be discouraging. But not this here pattern. This pattern, definitely easy breezy, and you don't have to have a whole lot of fabric. Now, if you don't have a serger, you can absolutely still make this. You're just going to be using a stretch stitch, so like a zigzag or a lightning stitch. Okay, so our dress is assembled just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and put together our, we're going to put together our shelf bra. And again, the exact same way, starting out with the shoulder seams. This fabric is like, I don't even remember when I got this here. But I tell you what, this is like the thickest, literally the thickest power mesh that I feel like I've ever used. And I've used this before, so maybe not that I've ever used, but I have not used this in a really long time. But I tell you what, these girls are going to be sitting up. You hear me? Sitting up. So we celebrate that. But also I decided to use this power mesh because I feel like whenever I use either the same fabric or just like another thicker fabric, it increases my under boob sweat. And like these days are getting to being into the hundreds already, and it's June. So that is not even what I want for my life. You know what I mean? Part of me feels so bad, but you know, on YouTube, you can't just be out here playing all the good music. So I don't know, for these sew-alongs, y'all might get a little sing-along from me. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead, oops, dropped that piece right there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get this elastic together. Again, I'm just going to attach it. I'm serging this, yes. I am going to serge this twice. I'm going to do 2 stitches going back and forth just to make sure that we, you know, make sure that's like in place as much as we can, which I feel really good about. So now we're going to go ahead and attach it to our piece here. We're doing our right sides together so that that seam isn't on my lower, that is not on my, I guess it's more like my middle back is where it is. And so make sure that you're evenly stretching this band out. It's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. So and if you need to like pause just to make sure that you are attaching it well, you know, definitely do that. Hit it with just like a reline up to make sure that there's enough stretch that you're giving. So I decided that to finish this, we're gonna go ahead and do a lettuce hem. And I love lettuce hems. They are really all the rage right now. I'm also really excited because while I do love a mini skirt, I don't necessarily want it to be like completely up my butt and making me feel like I'm gonna expose myself. So I love that by doing a little lettuce hem, it's going to give me cuteness while still, you know, being appropriate. Or I don't even want to say appropriate, because like, what is appropriate, right? I'm an adult. So I feel like at this point in time, everything is appropriate. But so that I'm comfortable. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in, let's alter this. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go ahead and put our wrong sides together for this here shelf bra, as well as this main fabric. We're going to nest our seams. And when I say nesting my seams, I'm going to put one seam going the one direction and the other seam going the other direction so that it feels more flat. And then I'm going to just go ahead and clip that into place, just so that this is nicely set up for when it's time for us to do our binding for this. We're going to go ahead and prep our binding as soon as we're done with nesting these seams and making this as prepared as possible. I don't really love to use a whole lot of pins or clips, so just like making sure that you guys can see. That's enough for me. I'm just essentially putting it right there at that seam. I am going to go ahead and put it in the center of the front here. Just a couple of these like key places works for me. If you do need to add more, definitely add more. You know, when I teach sewing, I have to remind people that it's really about muscle memory. And because I use my serger so much more than I use my sewing machine, for me, I prefer not to use pins, because I don't want to forget that I'm like on my serger and then end up like sewing over a pin or something like that, you know, and then having to go through and replace my blades, service my machine because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Okay. And so now we're just gonna, I got a stain in my fabric. So now we're just gonna go ahead and clip this in the back as well before we go ahead and prep our binding. All right, so, oops. Okay, there we go. So now it's time for us to prep our binding pieces. As a reminder, we have 3 binding pieces that we're gonna go ahead and prepare now. Okay, so I'm adding the binding on here. I did go ahead and prep this, but I decided that I was going to record my very first skill drill for this. And so you can go ahead and tap the link that's above for how to prepare as well as attach your binding in detail. And yeah, so if you have any questions about that, definitely leave questions on that video. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we have our binding attached and it looks fantastic. So now it's time for us to go ahead and finish up the hem. So as we can see here, the hem is already starting to roll, which I love. That is one of the traits of working with like a cotton Lycra. And I love that. But I really have been loving the lettuce hem. So we're going to go ahead and pop this on into the machine and do a lettuce hem. And here I am doing the lettuce hem to go ahead and finish up this here pattern. This was a super fast sew, and I hope that you guys have done this and you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to make a bunch more. If you're wondering how to set up your machine to do a lettuce hem, definitely click the link above for how to do that. All right, friend, if you have made it this far, then you get a congratulations because you went ahead and completed this sew along, and now you probably have your very own tank dress that you made in about 30 minutes. This was one of my favorite dresses that I have made to date. As you guys can see here, we got our stripe matching on the sides. We've got our lettuce hem, we've got our binding, and it is amazing. If you haven't already done so, make sure that you've subscribed to my channel. And if you're like, hey girl, I want more from you, make sure that you join the membership. I just launched it, so we don't have content up there just yet, but please believe that I'm in the process of making some content specifically for the people who join my members. And with that, it is a wrap. I will check you all later. And yeah, let me know if you have any comments, questions, or whatever. Drop it below.